Because how you get elected is you don't get elected by telling the truth. You get elected by promising stuff to your voters and
Your
appealing to
constituents.
your constituents and appealing to their emotions. And unfortunately, we have a lot of groups that think with their emotions and not ones and zeros, not logic. That's just how it is. And the mob is always emotional, right? The mob has a much lower IQ collectively than even the individuals within it. And they know all this, and they're masters at manipulating it. And you always have the media on your side, to enforce the narrative and punish even elected officials that go against the narrative. You've seen plenty of that.
We saw that with
And
the
you see
tea. We saw that at the Tea Party back in 2014.
absolutely, yeah, yeah, it was a powerful movement, but they dissipated it. They attacked the leaders, tall poppy strategy, and went after them with the IRS
Yep.
and ruined their lives. And yeah, eventually they take these movements that build up steam, and they do everything they can to dissipate their power, right, through attrition. And eventually it shuts them down. That people realize that just because they feel a certain way and they're willing to go out in the street about it does not in and of itself mean that they're going to, that's going to gain any momentum. But I want to add to that because I still see people saying protests make no difference, and I call bullshit on that. That is bullshit because everybody who was involved in the Tea Party knows what happened. And when Trump came along, you better believe the Venn diagram between Tea Partiers and MAGA was just about a perfect circle,
Yep.
right? The next opportunity came along, and they were angry, and they were motivated, and they were ready to support something. And anybody who says that was rigged and that Trump was selected by them is full of shit. I'm just going to go there. You know what? They would be trying to put a bullet in this guy's head if he was. I'm not saying he's not one of them per se. I've said many times there is a civil war going on among the elites.
Yes, you have.
Think romance of not even the House of the Wars of the Roses. Think Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or the Warring States or something like that. You have constituencies that are not on side on all things. Just because they play golf together and go to each other's cocktail parties doesn't mean that they wouldn't absolutely stick a shiv between each other's ribs if they got the chance. These are not nice people, and they're not buddies. Now what does that mean for us down here at our pay grade? Well, not much. Just do the best we can to stay out of the way. Who's funding Israel? Who's funding Iran? Who's funding Ukraine? Whatever. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same lunatics for sure. But you better believe all those people within those countries, they have their own interest groups too. Most of the reason this war is happening in Gaza right now is because Netanyahu had people in the streets calling for him to go to prison. He let it happen. I mean, they've gotten to the point now that they're starting to draft the ultra-Orthodox. Right? That's how desperate they are. This is one of Netanyahu's chief political, support blocks. And they've got to the point that they have to start drafting them. And they've never had the serve.
Okay.
Right? So
let me interject.
That's what I mean. These things aren't that simple, guys.
Let me interject. Tea Party. Okay, let's go back 2 years before the Tea Party. And we were even covering this on Mike in the Night. Do you remember on Mike in the Night? The Catalonia movement. Remember that? We were covering Catalonia. There's a state in Spain that wanted to separate from the rest of Spain because they were sick and tired of funding the rest of the country. And what happened?
Yeah.
Well, the leaders got all put in prison and all the leaders got arrested, and everybody was the Western media was spinning the narrative as these far right, you know what I mean, like pro-Nazi, like they were finding anything they can to destroy the Catalonians and not give them independence. They have their own flag, their own language, their own people, their own food.
And it was all bullshit because Catalonians, for the most part, are socialists. They're not fascist.
Mm-hmm. So
they're, if anything, they were communists. So they just say shit. Half the population knows they just say shit. So already half their power is gone. They'll speak out for the regime. They'll twist the narrative to support the regime and demonize everybody else. But when half the population is either indifferent or is just flat out, we know you're lying. We're not even paying attention to you. You're not really forming a narrative. You're not defending a narrative.
Right.
You know, they're not, you're not, let's put it, you're not defending it with reason and logic. You're defending it with gaslighting and emotion. And that will work on some people all the time, but it won't work on everybody all the time.
It's just like the
That's,
BG
you
said.
know,
It's like the BG say. It's just emotion that's making me wrong, tired from sorrow, lost in my soul. And if you don't come back, I want you to know there'll be no one left in this world to hold you tight.
mm, yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
if you know that song, but
yeah, oh yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, I stopped dancing when dance floors stopped blinking. So yes, I remember it well.
okay.
Um, it's yeah, that's the plaintive cry of someone saying, you know, like you're making a bad decision. I can't
Mm,
stop you. I wish I could, but you know, it's going to hurt you, and I'm just telling you that up front. I'm your best. I'm your best shot. In a way, you know, traditionalists are doing the same thing, aren't they? People are just wandering off to do whatever, and we're trying to tell them, like, you know, like this was where your home is. This is where your stability was. This is what made what we had so great. And now you're just squatting and pissing on it.
yeah.
Pardon the vernacular, but this is the kind of night, right? You know, and people are, I mean, they have luxury beliefs because we're a luxurious society. We're becoming a post-luxurious society rather quickly for a lot of people.